Hi! This lesson we are going to look at how to make and use the past perfect. The past perfect has a very simple form. There are always two verbs, the auxiliary and the main verb. The auxiliary is always had. I had, you had, he, she, it had, they had, we had, etc. The main verb is the past participle. I hear you asking, what is the past participle? You guys forget really quickly. For regular verbs, the past participle is just the same as any past tense. For example, walked or studied. But for irregular verbs, you have to learn them. Remember the grammar sheet in the irregular verb lesson and the table in it with all the irregular verbs? Well, the past participle is the third column. Just to check, look at this example. Barry had driven 10 miles when he ran out of petrol. Had is the auxiliary verb and driven is the irregular past participle. There are two main uses of the past perfect. The first is when you are talking about events in the past. The second use is for unreal situations. This is often known as the third conditional. We will talk about that in a lesson about conditionals. Let's have a look at how we use the past perfect to talk about events in the past. The past perfect helps us to see which order the events had. It is a bit like going back in time. Look at these examples. The car had crashed into a wall which totally collapsed. First, the car crashed and then the wall collapsed. Ruby walked down the street and saw the boy who had stolen her purse. First, the boy stole Ruby's purse and then Ruby walked down the street and saw him. The events in the past can be specific events, like the examples above, or it could be a period of time and an event. Look at the next set of examples. I had lived in Germany for a year before I moved back to England. First, I lived in Germany for 1 year and then I moved back to England. I did really well in the exam because I had studied hard for over 2 years. I studied hard for more than 2 years and the result was that I did very well in the exam. It is also possible to use specific times in the past perfect, unlike the present perfect. I had only been to America once in 1997 before I went to study there in 2003. Gordon went to the bank at 10 o'clock and then realised his wife had already been at 9 o'clock. Sometimes we use the past perfect to tell other people what happened. For example, this morning my boyfriend said to me, I have had my breakfast and I am going to work. Now, if I tell this to someone else, I would say, my boyfriend told me that he had had his breakfast and he was going to work. Did you notice that I have had becomes he had had and I am going becomes he was going. I have had is present perfect and he had had is past perfect. I am going is present continuous and he was going is past continuous. This is how you can change direct speech into reported speech. It is simply looking into the past and telling what happened. Let's quickly summarise. Use the past perfect to show the order that two events had in the past. The event that uses the past perfect is the first or oldest event. You normally use the past simple or past continuous for the more recent event. Events can be a specific time or a period of time. It is also possible to use actual times and dates with the past perfect. That's it for now. Check out the grammar sheet and exercises, and don't forget what a past participle is.